Good day, my fellow Americans. My name is Irwin Tang. I have been writing on Asian American issues for decades now, and I will be frank with you because the time is late and our nation stands at a precipice, and I will speak without a script here. John McCain is probably the most dangerous candidate that we have seen in decades regarding Asian Americans and other people of color. Probably the most dangerous candidate since George Wallace ran. But let's take a look at John McCain's career as a politician. When he came back from Vietnam, he made it obvious that he wanted to be a politician, and he wrote an article for U.S. News and World Report, and he called the Vietnamese people gooks 12 times in that article, both individuals and the Vietnamese people as a group, gooks. Now you might say, well, you know, he was only calling the prison wardens gooks or the prison guards. No, that wasn't true. It was the entire race as well as individuals. When he came back, he immediately supported Nixon's efforts. He said that Nixon was right to bomb Laos and Cambodia, killing hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians in those two countries, and destabilizing their nations so that the communists could actually take over. For instance, in Cambodia, Nixon organized a coup and then organized the bombings, and as a result, the genocidal Khmer Rouge came to power in 1975 and killed at least 1 to 3 million Cambodians. I mean, it was a huge portion of the population. And apparently John McCain supported that destabilization effort. In the 1980s, John McCain had an opportunity to help Asian Americans. As you all know, the Japanese American population on the west coast of the United States were sent to prison camps during World War II. They called them internment camps, but they weren't allowed to leave the internment camps. They were essentially prisons. Most of these Japanese American families lost everything. They lost their farms, they lost their homes, they lost their property, they lost their jobs, and they lost their dignity. And some of them died in these camps, which at times were, not very nice places to live. Now, Ronald Reagan and the Democrats, the Democratic Party, supported, and many Republicans actually supported giving these Japanese American families some form of compensation for everything that they lost. And this was, 40 some odd years after the war. And John McCain opposed that. He said he believed that these families didn't deserve any compensation for the things that they lost because our government put all these Japanese American families into these prison camps, mostly, well, because they were Japanese, of Japanese descent, Japanese American descent, even as their sons went and fought for the United States and for the world in World War II. All right, so that brings us to 1989, when John McCain voted in favor of, again, in support, but this time more directly, in support of the Khmer Rouge, the genocidal Maoist communist maniacs that took over Cambodia. The Khmer Rouge were, as you probably know, taken down from power when the Vietnamese overthrew them and installed Vietnam-backed Hun Sen government. But the Khmer Rouge continued fighting to try to take over Cambodia again. And they were the leading group in this coalition of armed groups trying to take over Cambodia and perhaps bring on the genocide again. Well, John McCain supported giving aid to that coalition of armed groups that were fighting to bring the Khmer Rouge back to power. All right, that was 1989. And through all this time, it was probably true that John McCain was using the word gook, but we don't have any documentation of that because American reporters, for the most part, refused to report or quote John McCain when he was using this racial slur until until the year 1999, when he was running for president again, running for president for the first time. He was using gook quite a few times on the campaign trail in his Straight Talk Express to speak of the Vietnamese. Now, at first, the American reporters refused to report this, and only the European reporters had the guts to report this. But Roger Simon finally buried a bit of information in one of his pro-McCain articles for U.S. News and World Report, and the information got out, and the Asian American organizations were angry about this. So eventually the information got back to John McCain that the Asian American organizations were not happy about his use of the racial slur to refer not only to the Vietnamese prison guards but also to other Vietnamese, including the entire Vietnamese people. So so what happened was John McCain was confronted finally by the American reporters, our best paid, best qualified reporters, finally confronting John McCain on his use of a racial slur. And John McCain said, "I hate the gooks. I will hate them for as long as I live." There are various quotes of John McCain's that used the word hate and gooks, and basically said that he would hate the gooks until he was dead.